Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming back to the Calm Balm podcast. I'm your host, Raquel Sands. I'm joined today by Tiana. Did I
Hi.
say Tiana? I knew. I was like, please correct me.
No, it's great. It's Tiana, like Diana with a T, or for people who need a stronger mnemonic, like the Princess of Wales, not the Princess and the Frog.
There we go. Oh, I love that. Okay, Tiana. Here we go. I'm going to put a visual of that. when, Tiana Dodson, and she's a body liberation facilitator, also a host of the podcast, The Live Your Best Fat Life. I'm so excited to have you. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be great.
I'm just really excited. I'm so happy to be sitting here with you and get into this goodness.
Yes. And I guess just a little bit of context. Tiana and I met on a networking call. We're both solopreneurs. We both, I think, have a passion for getting people to live their best life, embodying their awesomeness. So my first question to all my guests is, what is a piece of media? So it could be like a book, a show, movie that has changed or shaped your life in some way, and why?
Okay, so this is a great question that, when I read it first, I was like, oh yeah, this is fine. There's so many. And then I was like, but wait, it has to be something that has changed my life.
Oh,
Not just something that I really enjoyed as a child or something. And so I had to think really hard, really, really hard. And it was a fun little journey because I've always been a big reader. So I was like, what have I read that, when I was little, what was it? And nothing really stood out except for, so the first thing was Beverly Hills 90210.
oh,
And this is a show from the 90s, and it's just about a bunch of teenagers living in Beverly Hills and their misadventures of teenagehood. I don't know. And I remember that show, I can't say that it was formative or anything in so much, but it gave me a goal. There's a character named Brenda, and I was watching the show before I went to high school. And so, yeah, because I was born in 1980, so it was on TV when I was, when I was young, and Brenda was one of the main characters, and she had this life that I really wanted. She she wasn't especially pretty, but I mean, she was, she was played by Shannon Doherty. She's pretty enough. I mean, this is a regular show, so yeah, she's pretty. But in the world of the show, she wasn't especially pretty. She wasn't. There was nothing super special about her that I remember. But she had a hot boyfriend. She just had this beautiful life, and these really good friends, and she had this loving family, and they lived in this great house there in Beverly Hills. I'm this poor biracial black and Chamorro kid living in lower middle class, hand to mouth poor. I'm fat, and I'm weird, and I'm very shy, and I was just I want to be Brenda. Which, was cool on one hand, because it was ooh, I have this this person, this character that I'm modeling, I want to model myself after. And it wasn't I wasn't trying to have her hair or anything. I wanted her experience, but it also set me up for failure so many ways, because my high school was nothing like that high school. And my life was nothing like that life, and there was no way that I was going to be able to replicate that. So I would say that it I went into high school with this blueprint, yes, I'm going to check things off the list, mixing metaphors. So I'm check all these things off this list, and I'm going to be Brenda. And then I was oh, that one doesn't apply, scratch it out. That one doesn't apply, scratch it out. And like very quickly,
Yeah.
I was like disillusioned with high school. Um, and in some ways, like that's a
Yeah.
great thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was horrible at the moment, right? Like you're 14, 15 years old and it's like, I want this experience and I can't have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, it freed me from trying to follow this blueprint, trying to check these things off this list. And it gave me the opportunity, like that was really one of the first opportunities I'd had to be like, you know what? This is stupid.
Yeah.
Do what I want to do. Like I'm just gonna be me.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't think I'm a 92 baby, so I'm years after. But I remember just, I think for me in a similar way, like that whole high school, like Saved by the Bell.
yeah.
And that experience of this is a stereotype, this is what should be. And it's interesting now seeing, like I've heard from people in my community that like they come from other countries in Latin America at a young age or whatever, but they also see the same shows that we grew up with here, and they also have the same kind of bias of like that's what it is. And so it's just shaping all of our narratives in unhealthy, weird, disproportionate ways. But to your point, like it shows us that at a certain point, like we are so out of that box that we don't even need to be in that, like defined in that category. But it's hard to work through that, I think, especially at such a young age where that's what we're being fed and nourished with. And then it's like, well, I actually have to stop. And like, that's not like junk food. I mean, maybe in proportion, but like not, or whatever junk food is, because that's a whole thing too. But yeah.
No, exactly this. I mean, it's like I've been fed and I thought I was being nourished by this.
Yeah.
But in actuality, it was just like rotting my teeth and forcing me into a box that was not made for me.
No. Yeah.
Not even was it not made for me. It was made exactly to exclude people like me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that back then. I didn't have the language for that, or like really the real like concrete conception of that. But like it was a painful lesson.
Yeah.
But it's one that like I am thankful that I got a taste of at such a young age.
Yeah, yeah. Because then I think, well, now I want to speak to like what you're doing now and like all the awesomeness. But it's like what was that middle, that in between of like how did you start to develop the language? What were some of the things because that's so hard too, is seeing, I think, other generations, our family.
There we go. You froze.
Oh no.
You said other generations and our families, and then
yeah. Like if they haven't done that, then what is the role model? How do we start to create the language? Because like there's no one is teaching us the language either. So yeah, how did you go about it? How did you start going down that path?
Oh, this is a great question. Wow, there's a lot here too, but like essentially, so like I said, I had that very first taste of like this wasn't made for me.
Yeah.
But it was kind of also just another drop in the bucket of like, hey, Tiana, you don't fit. Because like like I said, I'm biracial. So my mom is Chamorro, so she comes from Guam, and my dad is Black. And so like that always put me in this weird place where when I was with, Chamorro family and at the fiestas and things like this, like it was like I kind of always got the feeling like, yeah, I guess you belong here, but not really. You're not Chamorro enough, because we didn't speak the language and we had never lived on island, and things like that. And then like when I would be with, Black kids, because like the
Yeah.
high school that I went to and most like the area that I lived in and most of the schools that I went to
Yeah.
were like, really there was a lot of marginalized identity people there,
Yeah.
like lots of different races and things like that.
Yeah.
And so like, I never felt weird. I was never the only person of color in a room, but
Yeah. Yeah.
like there were lots of people who looked like me, but
Yeah.
I was also like, I look
Mm.
like this, and I don't look
Yeah.
like what you would think a Black person looks like. If you
Mhm.
like, I mean, and Black people look a lot of different types and kinds of ways
Yeah.
because it just is that way, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like everybody looks all
I
kinds
mean,
of different ways, right? Um, Mostly because race is a construct, like we made that stuff up. But
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but ultimately what it comes down to is like the idea of what a Black person looks like, quote unquote.
Right.
I don't fit that. And so when I would be with like the Black kids, I was also never Black enough. Like there was always something that I
Yeah.
was lacking. And so I spent a lot of time performing an identity,
Mm.
and learning how to chameleon myself. And like, so I've talked about like my biracial experience, but also like I'm neurodivergent. And that
Mm.
was something I never knew until relatively recently. I'm not officially diagnosed, but like so much of my
Yeah.
experience and what it looks like to have different, certain types of neurodivergence, like, oh, I'm like, yeah, that explains a lot of things. Um, so I was neurodivergent. So that was also like, I'm just like, I process things differently.
Yeah.
And then I'm also queer. And that was something that I didn't know anything about because I didn't have language for it, I didn't have models for it when I was young. And
Right.
and so like there are all these different ways where I just don't fit.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
physically I'm larger. Like I've always been larger bodied. And so that also didn't help.
Yeah.
So there's all these different ways that I didn't fit in. And I just kept learning over and over and over again. You don't fit, you don't fit, you don't fit. Which then made me work really hard to try to fit in the best
Mm.
ways, in all the ways that I could.
Mm.
So, there was a time in college where a friend of mine said, Tiana, you are vanilla pudding. And at the time, I was like, yeah, yeah, okay. I thought she was giving me a bit of advice.
Okay.
And, and yes, she was, but she was also being an asshole. And it
Yeah.
took me a lot of years to realize that she was being an asshole because I was like,
Yeah.
you're right. Because what she meant by this was that,
Mm.
like, I'm somebody who's just likable. There
Oh.
was nothing special about me,
Oh.
and there was nothing about me that was like not palatable. I don't
Um.
think anybody like vehemently dislikes
Yeah.
vanilla pudding. Like if
Oh.
you're at a buffet and vanilla pudding's on the buffet, you might be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's nice," and you might take a little bit, you
Right.
know.
Right.
But like nobody's going, vanilla pudding, what's wrong with these
Like.
people? And nobody's like, oh my God, vanilla pudding, yay, this is so
Yeah.
exciting. You made my
Yeah. It's the best thing ever.
day. Vanilla pudding is just this kind of like, this is fine. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what she was saying is that like I
Mm.
didn't rock the boat. And
Oh.
like as I was processing that as I got older, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, what she's saying to me
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty unkind way. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You are a chameleon. You will fit yourself to the situation so that
Mhm.
people are liking you, so that you just like fit in, but we don't know what you're about. We don't know what's special about you. There's nothing special about you when you do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine. How do I not be vanilla pudding? And like the truth of it is that it just requires you to be yourself.
Yes.
But I didn't know how to be myself
Yeah.
really because I had played this game of like
Yeah.
trying to fit in for so long.
Yeah.
Um, but basically, I ended up in Europe.
Oh my gosh.
And then like I got an opportunity to take this job, and it was
Yeah.
very cool. I was very excited about it.
Yeah.
And while I was here, because that's where I still live here now,
Yeah.
I met my husband, and we, like, after my contract was over, we dated long distance a year
Okay.
and a half, and then we decided I would come over to Europe and be here because, you know, he's European, he doesn't have debt, and like there's socialized healthcare here, so it's just a more secure like
Yeah.
situation. So
Yeah.
I went to the States and I came to Europe, and I've been living here continuously since 2011. But I had to leave my job behind. I had to leave my family. I had to leave my culture, my, you know, my friends, everything, like my entire context.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Well, I ended up finding health coaching.
Oh.
Yeah, because I was seeing a health coach, because this was like really the
Okay.
last time
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I had tried
Mm.
to lose weight, like
Yeah.
actively tried to lose weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, this was at the like the 2010, early
Okay.
2010s, when
Okay.
the message, like
Mm.
in the 2000s, the message stopped being so blatantly, you need
Yeah.
to be thin, and it
Right.
started to be, you need to be healthy. And so I went to a health coach because I was trying to find health. I was trying to find that for myself. And
Yeah.
what I actually found while I was working with her, and I loved what she was doing.
Oh.
Loved her job. Um,
Yeah.
I've always been someone who's enjoyed helping people.
Yeah.
And like, she was not only helping people, but she was like
Mm.
teaching them something that was useful and interesting. And I was like, I
Yeah.
love this and I want to do this too. So
Yeah.
I started doing health coaching. I went to health coach school, and that's what I started to do. But I was fat.
Mm.
And everything in health coaching school was all about how to make people thinner, how to get people to lose weight, how to, you know, be sustainable and all that good stuff. And I was like, okay, is it possible? Because
Yeah.
when I go to the doctor and I get all my health markers checked,
Right.
everything
Right.
says that I'm good. Like,
Right.
you know, except that, you know, the doctor then goes, but wait, hold on. You're fat, so it means you're gonna die.
Oh
So,
my God.
like, oh my gosh, you're gonna like fall down and become diabetic and then die.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, okay, so if everything on paper
Right.
is my
Right. Right.
that I am healthy,
Right.
is it a possibility that I can be both fat
Right.
and healthy?
Who would have thought? Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I went to the internet because I like, you know, I can't just think this and be like, yeah, that's where I'm going forward with. Let's go.
Yeah.
I had to find an answer. You know,
Yeah.
is it possible? Like, is it literally a death
Yeah.
sentence to be a fat
Mm.
person? Which, you know, above board, that's a silly question because we're all going to die. None of us, regardless of what we eat or how much we exercise, are going to stay here forever and ever and ever. That just isn't a thing.
And it shouldn't be a thing also. All of this like longevity stuff. Like I'm kind of, well, let's not go there. I'll let you finish and then because I'll get us on a whole tangent.
Ooh, I want to go there. But basically, like, I went to the internet like you do, and I asked the internet, can you be both fat and healthy? And the internet delivered me health at every size. Which is it's a paradigm that was developed by a group of people starting in the 1970s, where they started to really look very deeply at the studies and just like, you know, what really is going on. And so they were able to find that, like, regardless of what everybody is telling you, quote unquote,
Yeah.
everybody knows
Right.
that just the size of your body matters so much to your health. They found actually that's not true. It's not true. Like, looking at the exact same studies, that the conclusion would say, and everybody needs to lose weight to be healthier. Like, if you actually looked at the actual work, it's like,
Right.
but
Right.
wait, The study doesn't actually say that if you look at the data. So that was
Mm,
beautiful for me because I was like, boom, there's my answer. I
yeah,
can both be fat and be healthy.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
just unlocked so much for me.
Mm,
And basically, ever since I learned that and I've been like digging deeper
mhm.
into it and learning more about it, I just keep adding it to my work.
Love it.
And it's just it's just radicalizing my work because it's like, okay, it's okay that I'm fat. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. So like I was destigmatizing that for myself and reclaiming it for myself.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that led to the next thing, which was, you know,
Amazing.
like just everything I learned about intersectionality. I learned how like the more marginalized identities you hold,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
just literally the more difficult life is in general.
Right, right. No, for sure.
Yeah, because of the way systems are made. And
Yes.
literally, like I said, I couldn't be Brenda because Brenda was not made for me, you know.
No.
And it's just like I've just learned over and over and over again. Like I just keep adding to it, you know,
Yeah.
about all the things that we were conditioned, that we were indoctrinated to
Yeah.
think that were, you know, quote unquote, the truth.
Right,
That
right.
is not true.
No, no, exactly. Exactly, yeah. And I also feel like I could take away, like tease out a lot of things from that, but I think ultimately just I think that is also like that is the truth. That like the systems that we've all inherited have what how do I want to say this? They were never established for other people, like except for the people who had power and
That's
the
right.
people who were able to manipulate and create and all of this stuff. So like now that most of us, I think, are the majority actually, because
Yeah.
there we take up so much space physically, mentally, emotionally, like, and all of the things, they can't put us in a box anymore. And so like, yeah, representation, they're doing all these things to be diplomatic. um
There we go.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Are we still
Yes.
recording?
I see the recording.
Okay, great. Okay. For everyone, we're in Mercury retrograde. That's what we're blaming.
That's right. It's not
Yes,
a good tech day.
it's not a good tech day. Yeah, let's just love it, leave it like that. But we're going with it because isn't that life? Isn't
That's
that exactly
right.
what we're saying? Yeah, and we're not going to be limited by this box thing. We're here to say the things.
That's right.
Well, I think just to like recap a little bit, I was saying that I 100% resonate with everything you've said because the systems that we've inherited that we're trying to redefine and dismantle, and like the piece about Europe for me as someone also born in the States hits so true because my field of work is really in career coaching, and it's not until one of these contract jobs I was in, I realized that there's no federal law that says that companies have to pay your 2 weeks of PTO. So
No,
it's not even legal. I mean, companies can if they so choose, and I think they do because it's an incentive.
sure.
Because I mean, part of why people work is to get benefits.
Yeah,
But the fact that there's no law in our federal government within all the states, like beyond state power, that really gives that support to the employee. That just shows
mm,
that everything is, again, for people in power, the people who are making the big, I don't know, money milestones, who are making something in the I'm trying to remember the analogies, but like the thing in the wood, you make a little like knot in the wood, whatever.
mhm,
All of these
mhm,
analogies, like they're the ones that are getting the accolades and all of the attention, and not the people, and not the people doing the work, not the people who actually need the sustainability and the
sure.
support. So when we look at media and like all of these things, it's like, why should we fit in? They don't even care about us. I mean, we're trying to
Exactly.
fit into their mold. that was not set up for us, isn't helping us. And then, and then our fear is to fit in. And then our fear is, are we enough? We are enough because we're literally doing all the work day in and day out.
Oh my God, yes.
So it's a it's more than a challenge. And that's why I think the word work for me can also be a trigger, because like, what work are we talking about here? Because are we talking about the emotional work? Are we talking about the systemic work that everybody is trying to dismantle in their own way? Are we talking about like physically working 9 to 5 or whatever it is? Like, no. And I think there's, hopefully now the newer generations have positive media and affirmation and everything that hopefully can carry that through. But yeah, no, it's hard. And then you said that you got into health coaching. So then I think you mentioned a little bit, but like the title and the services, like I think also there's a little bit of like, am I like, when are you that title? When do you feel you can take up that space? So yeah, like how did you, after doing that for yourself, start to be like, I can do that for others?
Ooh, this is good. That's great. Okay, let's see. So, like the entire time that I was in health coaching school, I was really shy, because I was afraid of the rejection, like that people would see me and be like, "Oh, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. You're fat. Like you're exactly who we want to be changing." And so like I really leaned into like making relationships with people before I would get on like a video call with somebody. And it was really hard because as somebody who has like a questioning that is challenging the status quo, that's a difficult place to be in, especially when you're not somebody who has power. So like I did a lot of nodding and smiling, even though I didn't agree, because this was a situation where being vanilla pudding was protective. Because I didn't know if, like, in the end, it was like, I need the certification. So that I can go out into the world and like have my own thing. And so I need this rubber stamp of approval. But it's like, I don't agree with you people. I don't like, I think you're wrong. Like, it's not even just I don't agree. I think you're wrong. And I think that this isn't helpful. And it's especially not helpful because I know that with my history of dieting and over exercising and like just disordered eating, it's not great. Like it's not a good experience. And if this is the price of thinness, is it worth it?
There you go. Right.
So like when I went out, like, when I finally finished and I went out into the world, I like was working to adapt the program that I was given, and like tossing out the parts that felt that they were not supportive, and like trying to round out the parts that were like I found useful but weren't quite there. Like basically I realized that like you have to figure out ways when you're opposed to the system that you're inside of, you have to find ways to make things happen and make space for yourself, right? And like balance the risk and the safety, because in the end, like nobody can technically take my health coaching practice from me. Like
No.
that was not a thing because I was an entrepreneur and health coaching is still not a regulated industry. So
Right.
nobody could technically take that from me.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't going to be making connections or collaborating or anything like that
Right.
because literally like there was a person who was like my study partner and she was like my buddy for months. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stop dieting because I think that I'm fine, like
Yeah.
everything's fine, you know. I think I'm gonna work to like really be okay with my body. And she was like, aren't you just giving up? And I was like, actually yes,
Thank
actually
you.
yes. You know, because what am I giving up? I'm giving up all this harm that I was doing to myself. I'm giving up on, you know, just ridiculous expectations. And basically like what I started to do was just like integrate this into my work, was like really listening to the people who I was working with and like trying to dig underneath what really was going on, because that's what I realized is for example, like I had a client who came to me and she was like, I just like, I know my nutrition's not great. I'm having mobility issues and I've been gaining weight because of that. But like, I just really struggle with eating vegetables. Can you help me eat more vegetables? And I was like, great, let's do this.
Yeah.
But like, you know, of course, so we started with recommendations for like meal planning and like integrating more vegetables, adding more stuff in, you know, trying, testing, experimenting. And she would come back week after week not having done anything, or like not having been able to do it. You know, like she had the plan, she had, you know, she had even ordered the groceries to come and they were just like rotting in her fridge because she couldn't like mentally and emotionally.
There we go.
And I was like, okay, hold on. We're not talking about vegetables anymore.
Yeah.
We're talking about something else. We're talking about a relationship to food. And so basically, like, I remembered that this is a struggle that I had. This is also a struggle I still have. It's an ongoing thing. And I recorded an episode for my podcast called Me and Vegetables, like relationship status complicated.
Send me that so I can put it in the show notes. I would love to.
I totally will. I totally will. And like, and that's the thing is just like, you know, I am my case study. Right? I base all of my work on my own experience, and like I also integrate lots of things that I read, lots of other people that I learn from. I integrate their stuff into my work as well, because I don't know all things and I don't know what I don't know. But like fundamentally, like at the center is my own experience. And so when like I recognized my struggle with vegetables in my client, and I was like, okay, then I was able to bring myself and my story and my experience to that. And so that's the thing is like when I'm working with people, that's what I'm doing. I like to approach it, my work with other people, not from I know you better than yourself. I like to approach it with like, I know what I'm talking about, yes. But I'm curious about what is your situation? Like what's underneath? What is really like in the cloud of the things that make you you? What's really going on here? And then can I relate to that? So I do a lot of telling of my own stories. You know, like, and I don't like to give advice. That's not a thing I really like to do because everybody's having their own experience. And I want to also empower people to make their own decisions, you know, and to like have that the practice of inner knowing,
Yeah.
of inner trust, and development of that. And so like I will be like, this is my story, this is my experience with something similar. I don't know if any of that makes any sense to you or resonates with you, but that's what came up for me.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I think the one thing I want to go back to is when you said that you did give up, you let go of their paradigm, their structure, because that is what we're doing. Like once we stop trying to fit into whatever the thing is, the job, the health, the look, the hair, like whatever it is, then it's like, yeah, I totally give up what you have put on me that I didn't even ask for. That is what you understand. And it's like, I'm redefining myself. And if you don't like it, then you should also give up. Like, stop trying to convince me and assume that you know better than I know when I'm trying to figure out myself. Like, we both don't know, So I love that you said that, because that's exactly, and it's the other thing I really like that you said is that it's some things that we have gone through, but we still going through.
Yeah.
Maybe we finished chapter 1, now we're on chapter 10, but it's like a whole other, it's a whole other thing. And it's the same book, but it's like, oh wow, this person went through this, but now it's a whole, we were on the teacups ride, now we're on the merry-go-round, now we're on the roller coaster, and it so yeah, I love all of that, because it's hard to tell, and that's why I think I really struggle so much with the mainstream paradigms of like, read this self-help book or do this for your job. It's like everyone is such a unique case, and the number one thing is that we're not even tapped into who we are. Like, we haven't even peeled back the layers of, why am I doing this thing? Who told me I needed to do that? Like the deep questioning, and that's hard in and of itself. And then to put in the work, to put into practice, because it is a practice, like you said, it's a constant thing. And so all of that is hard, but to have someone like yourself or other coaches like us, that I think that we just hold that space, I think that's ultimately, and kind of, I like to say guide, like we're holding hands, we're guiding, we're we're in this together in different spaces, but like we're in this because I think there's that expression, like real sees real, or like we each see each other. Like, I see that you're on your journey, I'm on my journey. I can help you with this part. You don't always have to be with me on all of parts of your journey, but like if we can meet, and that, yeah, I think that's awesome. Oh my God. So let me look at my questions before I get completely off of a tangent. So what are some, what does your business look like today? Like balancing work and business and lifestyle, like how is all of that looking for you now?
Short answer, it's a struggle. But I think like the thing, I mean, right now I'm in a season where I just don't feel very confident. And I think that's there's just like, just like a coming together of a lot of different factors in my life. And so like my confidence has been shaken. I don't know. We're on shaking.
Also a thing. Yeah. I mean,
this. So I'm just at a place where I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, which is a lie in a lot of ways, right? And I realize like underneath it all, like rationally, I know what's going on is that I'm in a moment of growth. Things are changing. I've changed, I've grown, and my business is needing to grow as well. And like I know that rationally. But because of like this confluence of other factors, like we moved internationally. It's like, so we moved from France to Germany, and my kid did not weather the move really that well, and it's just like, it's been hard to like get settled in a new place, and like with this whole situation, and then like, we're I would say we're still in a pandemic, but like pandemic is new normal, you
Yeah,
know. So
yeah.
there's that that's going on. There's, you know, just so much horror going on in the world,
Oh God, yeah.
and it's so visible.
Mm,
This isn't new in a lot of ways. Like the things
right.
that are going on in the world, the attacks on brown and black and indigenous people of color, these are not new
It's not,
things
no.
that are happening.
History
It's
repeats
just,
itself. Yeah,
yeah, it's just that we can see them so
yeah,
much better because the ubiquity of social media
yeah,
and camera phones and things like this,
yeah,
because of the internet. So,
yeah.
so basically, like we are all being affected by it all the time, as opposed to, you know, when I was 10 years old and there was the Gulf War, it was like, oh yeah, my cousin is in
Right.
the Gulf War, but I was like, you know, 10,
Oh,
11, 12 years
yeah,
old. I didn't know anything about that. You know, it was
right,
like, it was a statement and that was the end of it.
right.
But
Yeah,
like, I literally go onto Instagram and
there it
I
is.
can
Yeah,
see, and that's a different experience, especially now. I'm a parent,
yeah.
um, you know, and it's just like, there's a lot going on. So there's all these things that have come together that just make me feel
Mm,
shaky and
yeah,
unsure.
yeah, yeah.
But basically, like, I have done a lot of work over
Mm,
the years, courtesy of my business, courtesy of the journey that I've been on,
yeah,
where I've practiced self trust.
yeah.
And, you know, I've practiced reframing. I have this 4-step framework for body liberation.
Love it.
Um, and step one is education. Step two is reframing. Step three is self care and resilience building. Step four is
Mm,
advocacy. So, you know, it's not a line. It's not
no,
you do
right.
one, three, four. Like, you know, you're always kind of in it. And so
Yeah,
basically, I'm just well practiced at
yeah,
finding a learning edge or finding an uncomfortable situation, an
yeah,
uncomfortable place for myself,
yeah,
learn and knowing how to apply my skills and apply
yeah,
the tools and work through it. And
yeah.
it is not fun.
No, I mean,
It is not comfortable. And
no,
it's not necessarily easier,
no,
but
right.
I know how, you
Yeah,
know. And so that's like really what I've that's what things are looking like for me right now, where it's like
yeah, yeah,
I feel I feel overwhelmed. I feel like
yeah,
there's just too much.
yeah,
And I also am like, okay, I'm having the oh my gosh feeling over here, but then I'm like, all right, right
yeah.
there's your toolbox. Your
Yes,
hand over. What
yes,
tool do we need? Let's go.
yes. I love that. Yeah. I love that because that's exactly what it is. Like, as we keep talking about the systems, that it's like we need our own toolkit to like for me, I like to say I was a professional job hopper my whole career. I still am.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do we make the system work for us? When are we ready to call it quits and give up on it? When are we ready to redo it and just pick the pieces that we want? And okay, I kind of like this piece of wood to make my own cabin. Like, I don't know. But like the fact that you have a framework is awesome because I think not knowing, creating a language, like we're all flailing about to have like that buoy, that safeguard of like, okay, someone's got it a little more together. Someone has been through it at least more than I have or this person has. So this toolkit is a great way to get started to and then they can also take that for themselves.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing, is us being able to help each other, because as we know, the systems are not here to help us. They're
No,
there to serve themselves and keep themselves afloat.
that's right.
So no, I love all of that. I would love I'm going to get all this information in the show notes, your framework, the episode, your podcast, all the things, so people can find you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Yeah, my last question before we could just talk for hours about all this stuff, I feel. Before we wrap up, what are some advice, insights, or an experience that you would recommend someone having, doing, reading, I don't know, as they try to figure out their path, their next steps?
Ooh, this is a big one. So I said that I don't like to give advice, and I
I know.
don't. I don't, but I will share an insight.
Please, yes. Like an
Um,
experience, I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Basically that, right?
Yeah.
So if you're like standing at the precipice and you're like, okay, I really think I want to do this business thing. I want to go out on my own. I want to start my side hustle or what have you. Um, for me, it was really hard. It took me so long to launch my website. It took me so long to have a name for my business, to register, like to do all the steps. Like it took so long.
Yeah.
And like I say so long, it didn't take years, but you know, it took months when it could have taken days or weeks.
Right.
And it was because I was sitting in the hesitation of perfection. Like I needed it to be good. You know, I needed it to be great. I needed it to be right.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is like ever since then, like
Yeah.
I've changed my brand
Yeah.
3 times now. Like I'm currently like integrating like new fonts and new colors and new patterns, and all kinds of stuff, right? You know, and like I've changed and I've grown, and that has like affected my business as well. And so like as somebody who has been on these internet streets doing business stuff for the past a little bit more than 10 years now,
Oh my
just
gosh.
know that it will change. Know that it will change. So start where you are with what you have.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
You
Exactly.
know, so like with the change in your pocket,
Yes.
the tools at your fingertips, with
Yeah.
the knowledge inside your head, just go.
Just
Just
yeah.
go.
Yes. I love that because like talking about health, like health will always change. Like our like everything is change. I don't know who said that thing that all I know is I know nothing. Like just knowing that there's no place else to be, but I know that sounds so cliche and it's like, oh, of course but it really is the truth. Like as we get older, as we physically, mentally, like all the changes, like that's literally all we do know is that there's change. We don't know what it's gonna look like or how, but yeah, just starting. Like full transparency, we're on Google Meet because I have no interest in paying for a video thing. Like who has time for that?
Valid.
Yeah, and like we do what we can with what we have. That's I think always, but then once we know that we're at that place, we're like, okay, we can, like you said, at the precipice, push it, like trust that, developing that trust of like, you will catch yourself, you will find a way to fly, like all of those things will happen. It's hard to know because we want to know with certainty.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, but then then you won't do it, or then it won't turn out the way it needs to evolve. So
exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, can you reintroduce yourself one more time for everybody wrapping up, and where people can find you and all the places?
Absolutely. So I'm Tiana Dodson, body liberation facilitator, and you can find me at my website, which is www.tianadodson.com. I'm going to lie. I was going to say I was going to hang out. I hang out on Instagram. I don't hang out on Instagram. However, I do maintain my Instagram presence and I keep it updated with like what's going on. So you can always come and find me on Instagram. I am there at I am Tiana Dodson. I'm on Facebook. I exist on Facebook. I'm not really there, so that don't waste your time. If you want to find me on social media, Instagram's the place. I'm also on LinkedIn. And I do have a TikTok profile because there was a period of time that I took my old ass to TikTok and played on TikTok, and it was delicious fun. It was so much fun. So if you're on TikTok and you want to see some stuff that I did a couple years ago, go hang out with me on TikTok. I'm there at I am Tiana Dodson as well.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I also tried. Like I don't know how old we're young. But yeah, I also tried TikTok, but I don't know. I feel like it was way too much for my overwhelm. So I was like,
Oh
Instagram.
yeah.
But I love that you have it and that it's a place to, to
It happened. It was like
Yeah.
3 months. It was 3 months and it was good fun. And then I was just like, my knees aren't good enough for this.
Oh my gosh. We'll let the newer generations, they
That's
can like,
right. They are
yes,
over there like
they're doing it.
doing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Lord's work. I appreciate that so much.
I know. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Tayana. This was so awesome. And yeah, thank you for everyone listening. Please check out the show notes to find her and her awesome podcast and all the stuff. So yeah, until next time, thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a good time.
And bye.